what I want to try to do today, selling is such a large and vast variety of tools and skills, but I called this lecture today the Selling Advantage because I think that in today's market, we all need to have an advantage, and I need for all of you tonight to understand that selling is many different things. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about selling going around, so I'll start to try to clear some things. First of all, to be able to get an advantage in anything, you need to know what you're doing. And a lot of times I hear like people saying things about selling, and I'll say, oh, do you know how to sell, or what do you sell? And they'll all of a sudden like cringe. Like, selling? I have to do that? It's part of my job? It's something that sometimes has a very like negative connotation. And I think tonight actually, you'll understand that it really doesn't have to be that way. It's a decision that you make. Basically, when you look at the definition, it's basically selling is offering to exchange something of value for something else. And when you look at the big picture of selling, I think the bottom line is you need to really understand that the stages of selling and buying involve getting acquainted. It's building relationships. And if you look at it that way, it looks really different. If you really believe in what you're doing and you come from a genuine point of view, everything is really, really a totally different experience for the buyer and for the seller. And I totally believe that that's how it's got to be in order to really get an advantage and be really good at what you do. Now, when you talk about selling, probably most of the time we think about, okay, I'm going to sell this product. Selling is really, can be so many different things. You can be selling a product, or you could be selling an idea. It could be advocacy for Israel. It could be selling a service. There's so many different things that we can basically do. And a lot of times when I've done a lot of different lecturing and training, I've asked people very, very simply, do you know how to sell? And they say, no, I don't, or I'm not really good at that. And then I usually will say, what I'm going to ask all of you now, I'm going to say, does anyone here remember ever going to an interview? Yeah, maybe one or two? The rest are, LA, I guess LA is different. I just got here 3 weeks ago from Israel. I guess, it's different here. Or I could say, has anyone ever been on a date or anyone married? Selling begins like really in our basic being. We all sell. It's just a matter of how much of it do we do, and how much of the skills are we really tuning on to on a daily basis. But I could say to one woman, are you really good at cooking or baking? And a lot of times I'll hear that, yes, I am really, really good. I can make a really great chocolate cake. I don't know how to bake or cook. But if I started using skills to become very good at baking, I could probably be very, very good at it. That woman, the day she started cooking or baking, she didn't know how to do anything. She didn't know how to make that cake. But today, she has like the recipe for an amazing chocolate cake, and everyone loves eating it. So, do you know how to sell? Yes, we all basically do know how to sell at one level or another. The question is, are we using our skills the right way, and are we really tuning into what we want and how we feel, and are we conveying our message correctly? One of the things I'd like for all of us to try to think about is, when we're selling our ideas or our products or our services, are we taking the sale or are we being given the sale? I believe in creating a situation where people that we're dealing with will buy from us, and that we really won't have to sell to them. So how do you do that, basically? So I could basically say that if I take this and put it in my hand, and I'll tell Daniel to come and get it from me, he would have to probably make a decision if he's going to take it by force, making me open my hand. And then there's another option. He can basically convince me to do what? To open my hand. Because when you create a situation where someone will open their hand, then you don't have to do anything forcefully. It's really easy. I can just take it now. And I think that's something that we all have to think about. Are we really taking things, or are we being given? Are people wanting to buy from you, or are you trying to sell to them and creating maybe a negative situation? The more we try to sell something, the less people want to buy it. So, and that's in any relationship, in anywhere. So, I want to understand. I want us to all think about how do basically open people up, because if my hand is closed, can something get in? When people teach sales and selling, a lot of times they're not realizing a very important fact. The fact is that we come and we try to sell to something that's closed. Can you go into the hand? You really can't. So before you even try to start all the different sales methods, you need to understand that in order to be successful and have an advantage, you need to know how to get people to open up. And I created a system where there's 5 fingers in each hand. If we want to open it up, we need to basically, just start opening up fingers. It's the same thing about when we're dealing with people. We want to open them up to our ideas, to our products, to our services. So the first thing is, when we're dealing with people, we need to give what I call unconditional love. I know it sounds a little bit funny, but in today's world, everything is conditional. Your parents are happy with you when you get your grades, or when you go to a job, your boss is happy because you did what he asked you to do. And there's so many different examples I can do and give. I think that when people are buying from us, they just want to feel like we really do care and that we will appreciate them and we will love them no matter what their decision will be. Because what we do a lot of times is we look at the customer as right now. He's buying from me now, but we don't really think that this is someone that we could build a relationship for a very long time. Because he may not buy what I'm trying to sell him right this minute, but I can create a relationship and get him to basically buy my product, my service, my idea in the future. But if he doesn't feel that this love that I'm giving him is unconditional, I can promise you that he will not be buying from you in the future. A lot of times when I talk to salespeople, and I've trained over 5,000 people, I can tell you that I'll say to them, are you giving unconditional love to your customers or to your prospects? And they'll say, of course I am. But then I'll videotape them in a store or in an event or a convention, and they will be making all kinds of mimics, faces. The person will say, you know what, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my husband, or I'd like to take some time and check with the other competition. And then, after being really nice and friendly, like we were coming in, oh, hi, how are you? God, it's great to see you, and you look wonderful. And then the person says, I need to think about it, and you go, what? What do you mean you need to think about it? What's going on? I gave you all the information. And we don't see ourselves doing that, but believe me, our customers do. And they get a very good opinion of what we are and what we're trying to do right on the bat. So right when we're starting, when we're trying to open these people up to our idea, we took one part of it and we closed it right then. Because when you don't give that love, you're not going to get the attention that you really want. The second thing is complimenting people. I always say, and this is not only the way I sell, this is the way I live. I believe that when you come from a perspective, in Hebrew it says filgun. There's the word called filgun. I looked it up. I was trying to think, what is filgun in English? It's what is it? That's what it is. Thank you. I just learned something. And I can tell you that the more you want to open people up, the more you need to genuinely give compliments and make them feel good. And a lot of times I'll talk to people and they say, would I have to just sit and compliment this guy or this woman? No, I don't want people lying and saying, oh, you look great, or oh, I love what you're wearing, when you think the opposite. But I do want you to find something, because there is something good in every single person that we're dealing with. And it really helps to start building relationships and open people up by giving them the compliment that they deserve. If you think about it, how many times a day do we really take the time, the minute, to say something good to someone else, just for the heck of saying it, So it really helps us. Treatment. The way we treat people is a very big factor in how they're going to open up to you or not. Are you giving them the treatment that you'd want to get as a customer? Are these people really feeling as special as they should be? Because I want to tell you that people today, especially in 2011 in this market, all over the world, in every industry, want to feel special. They want to feel like they're getting the 110%, not the 100%. And you need to ask yourself if you're giving that to them. The fourth one is respect. You need to be able to respect a person's opinion, the way they're doing things, the way they're communicating. You may not like what they're saying, you may not like what they're doing, but you need to be able to respect them and of course, give them the 100% feel that they are in a relationship where there is respect. And the last part would be appreciation. Even if someone talks to you and does not buy your product or your idea, you need them to understand that you do appreciate the time. People today, I think the biggest asset and the biggest issue is time. All so busy, everyone's so busy, and that's why I appreciate so much that you came here tonight, and I'm sure the people from BNAD do too, because we all have so many things to do. So when somebody does take the time to listen to you, to come to your meeting, to come to your convention, to come to a sales meeting, or whatever it would be, you really need to give them the feeling that they are appreciated, no matter what the conclusion will be. So that would probably be the most important part of the whole thing, and to sum it up. When we basically want to come and start dealing with people and we want to open them up, we need to understand one more thing, and that is that there are different kinds of people that come to us in different times. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is understanding a little bit of psychology, which I'm going to try to get into, really just on a touch and go base. I want you to understand that when we deal with people, we have to understand that they have history, they have experiences. There are things that influence, affect, and a lot of experiences that they have that will come into the meeting that you're going to have with these people. They're not just coming from their house and they were born yesterday and they have no experience or no kind of influence on them. One little kind of thing I brought up and I've built is, out of every 4 people, you'll start to see that there are different kind of stereotypes and types of people. I would say a quarter of the people that you're going to meet, 1 out of 4, are people that are really, I would say, like angels. They've had really good experiences. It doesn't matter what age they are. They've never really had bad either financial, personal, business problems or issues. And so when they come to you, they come very open. They come very welcoming. They're very, very eager to listen to you. And you know what the reason is? Could anyone tell me what that would it be? I'm just trying to make sure you're all still awake. The reason, I'll tell you it, the reason is because when people don't have bad experiences, they don't really need to defend themselves. Because there's nothing they really need. They're not scared of anything. They're not scared to get hurt. They're not scared to get, in some kind of bad deal. They're just coming open to hear what you have to say. 2 of every 4 people are, I would say, like normal people. What does that mean? We've all gone through something, some kind of experience. Sometimes it was bad, but it wasn't terrible. It didn't leave terrible, terrible scars. It left us a little bit more skeptic. We are a little bit more, challenging. We're looking at things a little bit differently, but we're still open to hear the message. And a 4th of the people, 1 out of 4, are what I say burnt coals. What does that mean? It means basically that these people have gone through really bad, traumatic things in their life. It could be on a personal level, it could be on a professional level, but it affects the way they do things. And I want to tell you that it's very easy once you've learned these things to identify people the minute they walk in. So I want to tell you that when you know this, we start to understand that there is a lot of psychology involved in selling. I'm sure you all know that. When people make decisions, we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, and that is a lecture upon itself. But I just wanted you to know one thing. In our subconscious mind is all of our experiences, all kinds of memory, a lot of things that have happened in our life. It's like a huge library. It's all there. A lot of times when we're selling to people, we're selling to their conscious. We think that that's where the decisions are made, but I want to tell you that it isn't. People will be making decisions not on a conscious level. They're going to be making them from a subconscious level, okay? Now, we all know, I think one of the biggest things that we all know is that when someone becomes defensive, what do we basically do? What is the best defense? Offense. The best defense is offense. So I can tell you right now that if you have someone that is like a burnt coal come into your office for a meeting, what you're going to probably see the minute he walks in is something that's defensive. It's going to be something that is very offensive. What does that mean? He's going to probably come in and start saying, there's no parking here, or you're late, or where's the person, I met Jane before, where is she? They usually come with some kind of something that they create very quickly in their subconscious mind because they're looking for a way to defend themselves. They just don't want to get hurt again. And we need to understand that. Once you understand that they're not going to be doing that because they want to hurt you or that because they have something against you. Because you know what happens a lot of times? What we do is we get offended because we're also one of those stereotypes. So when someone comes in your office or to a meeting or just for a coffee to listen to an idea, and they right away offend you, what happens to us most of the time? We want to defend ourselves. What happens is we close because, like I said, the only way to get to anyone is to open them up. You have to have 2 people open to create anything. So when that happens and we don't have the knowledge, what happens right away is either I will close up or that person will close up. And will that create anything? Anything good? No, it won't. So I think that it's very important to understand you can be offensive, you can be indifferent, and those things will definitely affect the sales advantage. When we look at everything, we have to understand also that a lot of people think, and a lot of times I do lectures and they tell me, look what's going on in the world, look what's going on in the US, in LA, recession, politics, lack of growth. There's so many different issues. And a lot of times people say to me, this is the reason I'm not selling. So I just want to let you know that people will buy a lot more when times are rough. And I know it sounds a little bit weird, but it's something like what you said, Luke. When people feel empty, when they're feeling scared, when they're feeling that there's a lot of uncertainty around them, they usually will go to some kind of obsessive behavior. And there's not a lot of people in America that like to shop, I know, but that's what I've heard, but it can happen in other places. And so you need to understand that even though we look at this situation and we think it's terrible, when we're in a selling mood, this is something that is actually helping us and not hurting us. And don't think that, some people think, oh my God, it's just in the fashion industry. It's right over, they're just doing so well. Every single, field that I can talk about has the same challenges. And in every single one of them, I've done lectures for gas companies, for banks, for health companies, insurance. The minute you have a sales advantage, when you know how to build relationships, when you know how to talk to people, when you know how to get them to open up to your ideas, I want you to know that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling advocacy for Israel, you could be selling gas, and you could be selling fashion. It doesn't matter. So you just need to know that the most important part of the whole thing, keep an open mind. You have to understand that when we have our prejudice about people or places or things, it's going to hurt you, it's going to affect you. You need to keep an open mind and not make a decision who's going to buy, who's not going to buy, from the way they look, from the way they talk. You have to keep an open and clean slate, and then you'll have a very, very good chance of doing exactly what you want, which is selling your idea, your product, or your service. Thank you.